to the Dental Insiders podcast, the industry's single source for the greatest news and industry insights from visionaries in the dental industry. Our guest today is none other than Dr. Luke Shuman. It kind of brings up an interesting kind of evolution of technology question and sort of the future of things. And I know you're big on social media. You speak about it, talk about it. You're an expert in that field. You know it probably as well as anyone when it comes to understand the technology, the interface, the actual how to use it in practice. So what's your take on social media in dentistry these days? I know it's been out 5 years, right? And it started, everybody had to get on Facebook, get a bunch of likes, and nobody quite knew what to do with it, how to make money at it or how to use it. What's your take on social media and how a dentist, I think we'll follow up, what's a quick and easy strategy a dentist could use to make it work for them?
I have a lot of issues around social media, and I have a lot of issues in two separate categories. One is to talk about the dental community, and the other is to talk about the actual companies that are providing it.
Right.
You're correct. As you know, I have certain personal missions in wanting to try to make a difference in dentistry, and there's three of them. One, of course, is the award process, which you know with Best of Class. The second one is in the sleep industry, and the third one is in the social media industry. And talking about social media, I mean, let's start with the dental community. And I give a program, I'm giving another one tomorrow in Winnipeg. I've given this program now to about 5,500 attendees. And in that program, I always ask a question. I ask them to be honest with me and to raise their hand if they truly understand what search engine optimization is. And of the 5,500 attendees to this point, I've had 36 people raise their hands. So there's problem number one, okay? And then if I ask them how many of them are working with a online marketing social media company, 50% of their hands go up. So here's the disconnect. And so if I'm talking to the dental community, number one is, and this is what I get all the time. I know I need it. I don't know what I need, so here's a check. And when that happens with the social media company, the relationship immediately goes south. Because what is happening is that the dental community needs to understand what the definition of success is. So that if they don't know what that is, how can they gauge the return or the value they're getting for their money? Which then again, and I'm going to get there, is allowing social media companies to take tremendous advantage of the dentist. And here's a perfect example. My own brother, he'll be okay with this. He called me and one day, and he was working with a social media company and he had an SEO package. And so they were coming out with an advanced SEO package. So he called me and he said, what do you think? Should I go with the advanced SEO package? And I said, well, what are you getting from your existing package? Oh, I don't really know. I said, well, you can't really gauge the advanced one versus the one you have now until there are certain questions and answers you need to know so that you're getting a return for the money because it was expensive.
Right.
So the question and the answer to this whole back and forth was that he was going to buy the advanced SEO package because it must be better because it's advanced.
Advanced must be
better. And that's the problem I have, because that social media company should have a level of accountability to educate him on SEO, on what's considered to be a return, so that he is knowing that that company is doing the job for him. Right. And then if there's an advanced one, what does that mean? So getting back to the practitioner, number one, they can't do it themselves, and they need to understand that. Even though they have staff members that might be great on Facebook and all the different social media properties, you have to look at a social media company, an online marketing company, like you look at a lawyer or an accountant. I always say that social media is a bullet train that's left the station with no stops, with no stations to stop at, and let's not, leave all of us back at the station. It goes that fast. I'm not even able to give a handout when I lecture. So, because what happens is when the organization wants me to give a handout, I can't, because by the time I give the actual presentation, something has changed in the social media community. And so I literally give them my presentation. I give them my email and I send it to them. And so how can we as practitioners, with everything else we have to deal with, come up with the ability to do this ourselves when myself and as an educator in this field can't even keep up with it in giving the presentation because I can't give a handout because something happens between the handout and the presentation itself. Like this time, it was Google, right? Announcing that they're the Alphabet company, that Google's now a division, and now we're all waiting to see what happens to Google Plus or Google My Business. We don't even know. So the dentist has to recognize that they must work with an online marketing company. Now, does the practice need to support that and work with them and provide what's important? Yes. But the dentist really needs to recognize that they need to do that. And their responsibility is they need to be educated. They don't need to be educated enough to do it or to actually implement it. They need to be educated enough to know what the definition of success is. Right. I blame the social media companies for not doing it. That's why I lecture so much, because my program is to be that bridge, is to try to empower the dentists enough that they're dangerous. I actually do, I think I'm the only person who does this. I have about 8 slides, which is specifically how to work with a social media company. That you've created at least a checklist of what that company needs to provide to you. So the social media companies have to stop taking advantage of the lack of knowledge that we have as practitioners and recognize they have an educational role that is critical and that they have a customer service role. It's not about just providing the technology and their job is done. They need to educate. They need to provide the dentist what the definition of success is so that there's a synergy between them so that they both can be successful instead of the feeling of being taken advantage of. And that's happening a lot. I mean, as I say in my program, right now there are 5 social media companies meeting with 5 different dentists in Boston saying that for $2,000 a month, I'll make you #1 on Google. Mm-hmm. Right. What's the problem with that? It's possible. Four are going to lose. So that's my feeling about it. I think that, this is going to improve because the dentists, I think, will start to take more responsibility in recognizing to be educated. Especially the newer generation of dentists are definitely taking an aggressive role in recognizing that importance. And I think that it's becoming more obvious. I get a chance to work with a lot of the social media companies, and I'm pushing really hard to get them to recognize that it's just not about the technology. It has to be the education and the customer service for the relationship to maintain itself.
Right. So quick follow-up, really quick, is so how does, and this is probably not a quick answer, but how does a dentist clear through the clutter and find a reputable company? Because, right, so let's say half of the companies out there are just out there for a quick buck, fly into dentistry and say, oh, we can get these suckers and we can get them for $500 a month or $1,000 a month or $2,000 a month. But then there are the reputable ones. How do you find the good ones?
So I'll respond to that 2 ways. One is you want to get to speak to some of their customers. However, not in the area where you practice. Because obviously customers in the area you practice could potentially see you as a competitor and taking business and taking, relevance and ranking away from you. So you should speak to people out of state. And typically practitioners are very open and honest with each other. So I would say give me 5 references out not in Maryland. That would be 1. And 2, some of these companies are doing something that I think is brilliant, and I think it's something that as practitioners you want to put the radar on as far as sensing that this is a good thing. There are companies now that are creating contracts that are only 30 days, that they're saying that they're confident enough that you have the ability, if you're not happy with what they're doing, based on website development, social media involvement, etc., that you can opt out. And to me, that's a signal of confidence. You know, one of the things that I hear from, you know, being again at Pride, we had, you know, at past president of Pride, thousands of clients. One of the things that, you know, is the upsetting story is someone that signs a 1-year or a 2-year contract and they're not happy, and guess what? They're in that contract until they're done. And so that turns into a very emotional relationship because they're not happy and there's nothing they can do about it. So some of these companies are really starting to recognize that they need to show the practitioner that they can be confident in them. And so by saying, you know, whatever we do, it's on a 30-day basis, that's the kind of company that I would sort of pick my head up and go, okay, that if you're that confident that I have the ability to walk, then I'm appreciating that you're giving me, you know, that I'll give you the opportunity to make this work. The other thing that you want to be careful about is you do not want to work with companies that give you templates. This makes me crazy because you know, you go to a company that you're interested in a website or you're interested in content and they go, you can have A, B, or C. And,
right.
And what makes me nuts about that is that when it comes to Google ranking and relevancy and ranking, the spiders that go out, they immediately know that your content is duplicate. They immediately know that your templates are duplicate, and your ranking goes down, your relevancy goes down because you're basically replicating A, B, or C. So custom websites, custom content is critical for 2 reasons. One, it gives you a much better relevancy and ranking related to the search engine. But secondly, as we know, your website is your home, and you will be seen more by the community, existing and potential new, by your website than the past, where it used to be make your waiting room beautiful, you know, have a nice sign. Well, you know, those days are over. More people are going to see your website than anything else, and so you need, and your team needs, to feel comfortable that you are representing your home and yourself properly. I find that hard to do by seeing template A, B, or C. I think it has to represent you. I think you need to be proud of it. You need your team to be proud of it because it represents them too, because the community is seeing it. So there's just some pointers around picking a social media company.
Right. Sure. I think it's tough even if you have the advanced package, right?
Even the advanced package.
So follow up to the flip side of the coin, still talking about social media. What's your take on how manufacturers and service providers are using social media to engage dentists, to attract dentists as customers? We see a lot of companies that, you know, provide technology and products using social media to try to engage. What's your take on how manufacturers are using social media?
I think that, well, first of all, it is critical. It is critical that manufacturers adopt, you know, modern media tactics. You know, our profession is in transition. And I think that, you know, I have the privilege of working with 14 of them. So I think we need, you know, dentists still like traditional media. They like visuals. We're visual people. We work, you know, visually. So I think that the key is a blend. I don't think that traditional media should be thrown out. But I absolutely feel that manufacturers should create a hybrid approach and should integrate, you know, social media properties that are critical, you know, like Facebook, you know, LinkedIn, and utilize modern methods of marketing in combination with. I know some of the media is struggling to provide modern media, and I think that's going to hurt them. And I feel the same way about the manufacturers, that some of them are challenged, are even afraid of bad reviews, not recognizing it's a part of reality, and that there's more to gain by getting yourself out there for the consumer as well as for the practitioner, as well as for the teams in the community, because it's so much easier to gain knowledge now with modern methods than the traditional methods. And our industry is about education.
Right.
And it's about education of product and technique. And I think that the manufacturers are going to be, you know, especially with the level of competition today, I think that they're going to find themselves fighting to maintain or to get to a top level if they're not integrating all the modern methods of education, promotion that are available to them today. And some of them are afraid of it. They're worried, again, about the reviews, but they need to realize that that's reality. And if they're doing a good job, 1 or 2 bad reviews is not a big deal.
Yeah, it's kind of just part of the deal.
That's a good point.
How important, switching gears a little bit into more marketing and branding for a dentist, how important do you think branding is for a practitioner, for a dentist these days?
So this is one that I'm happy to say that I think that most of the community is fully cognizant of is, you know, the issue of that dentistry is just a profession and not a business. I would say that if you were to poll the dental community now, everybody recognizes that it's both. The percentages are extremely high, and it is a competitive environment. And being a business, I mean, that's like me turning to you that owns a branding marketing company of great capabilities and saying, you know, what's a business? You know, the companies that you work with without a brand, without a mission and a vision. I look at that 2 ways. We're a business, we must have a brand. Matter of fact, Amy Morgan, who's the CEO of Pride and a partner of mine for 7 years, she starts related to everything in practice management. It begins with a mission, a vision, and a brand before they even get to step 2. And so we are a business. We need to have our own identity. We need to have a brand. We need to have a mission and a vision that we as a team and the teams within the practice can follow. So I think that is a no-brainer. It is critical that every practice creates an identity that they're comfortable with, that they represent, just like any business. We're a business just like any manufacturer is a business.
Yep.
So I think it's time to take it full circle.
Full circle. I like
full circle. So we've touched on the commissioner as the new nickname. I love the concept of ownership mentality. We have fallen in love a little bit. But in the beginning, you talked about when you were a kid and you were, you know, with the soccer players and these idols, and you were, you know, giving them oranges at halftime. And so, you know, I guess to wrap it up, talk to us a little bit about a mentor that you've had in your life and a lesson that they've taught you that you still use today.
Okay. Well, this is not to be nostalgic because it's true. Okay. And I'll give you a few others too, but I've been blessed with many mentors in my journey. I've had a pretty wild journey and a special journey. And there's a lot of people to thank, and there's a lot of people that I appreciate. The timing for this question actually is quite good because my mom's birthday is today, and she's 83. And my dad's birthday was last week, and he was 86.
Wow.
And it starts right there. They are by far my mentors, and differently. For my dad, as a mentor, yeah, you know, it's about integrity, and he really, you know, showed me the importance of integrity. The other thing that he showed me was my dad, in his profession and everything he's done, is an incredibly kind man and a giving person. And I got to see people take advantage of him as I got older and started to see how good he is and how people, instead of giving back, would take advantage of it. But he told me as a mentor, and the 3 letters that I've taught my kids too, is that you be you. He said, regardless of how people react, if you're a giver, don't let their reactions ever change you of who you are. He said, some people will take advantage, some people will recognize that you are that type of person and will give back. And those people you'll have in one hand, maybe two if you're lucky. And so that was what they taught me as a mentor, and it's been true. I mean, I can look at, you know, Rick Maddie and Thais Carter and John Kringle and Ali Arumshan. These are people that have given back, and they're my inner circle as a result of how we've worked together over the years. And that's what my dad taught me. For my mom's about knowledge and hard work. My mom, she's got multiple degrees. In the age of 50, she went back to hygiene school so she could be in the dental profession after getting multiple masters. And she's always been about knowledge, that readers are leaders. And she always pushed us and tested us and was there for us to really help us from recognizing the importance of knowledge. And then she was also the one that made us recognize, me and my brothers and sister, that nothing comes easy, and it's about hard work. So they really are my mentors to move into business. Steve Espo was my first management leader when I was thinking about getting my MBA out of school, and I met him and joined his company. He told me he would teach me instead of going to school, and for 7 years he did. He was a Wharton MBA and took me, put his arm around me, and off we went. And then finally, the other one I would add is Dr. Gianelli, who was the dean of my orthodontic program, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but he taught me so much about, you know, what it meant to be a professional, and I have great respect. And of course, one last one is Chris, who trained me in soccer at age 5, who spent 15 years with me, and he was such a tough coach. My parents would kick him out of the backyard all the time because coming from Europe, he used to sit on his knees and have me run at him, and he would just knock me down, just knock me down and knock me down, because the English, the British type of football is very, very physical, and he wanted me to be prepared for that. And I still remember my mom, "Get out of our yard," kicking him out. But when I finally got to get on the soccer field with my own age group, I realized everything that he did, and he taught me what it's like to win and to lose and to compete, and what it means to be who you are both on and off the field, which I hopefully taught a lot of players that lesson that he gave me over time. So those are my mentors.
Great. Okay, so I think we should wrap it up. Yep. And we're going to have a Scottish accent competition.
Oh, really?
To who can Scottish accent.
Okay.
And so I'm going to start now, and I might sound like a leopard, but I think it'll come in. I'm not sure.
And you're going to be editing this, so you'll probably win, or no one will ever hear any of this.
And so that's my Scottish accent.
So that's your Scottish accent. Well, if it's not Scottish, it's crap. I don't know what to say in a Scottish accent, but I believe that that's my Scottish accent, and perhaps it's a little bit Irish now, but that's my Scottish accent.
And I like it too, but I can't do Scottish because I could hardly understand them. Irish I can do, but Scots, that was tough. That's tough.
That's good. So I think that does that wrap us up?
I think that's a wrap. I'll go put my kilt on, and
I'm going to take mine off. So that solves that problem.
Right.
So as always, thanks for joining us. But incredibly insightful. We appreciate your time, your insight, but more than anything, I think we appreciate your honesty, and just one of the things I love most about you is that I just think you're a real person. There are so many people out there that aren't real, and I just think you're a real person. I think that is one of the things I love most about you, and I know that comes, and now I know where it comes from. I knew it came from your parents, but now that I hear this, you be you is great advice, right? Readers are leaders. It's the kind of stuff that, we should be written in the sky over schools so kids can read it and see it and believe it.
And in addition to the authenticity, what really came through to me is the passion. And I think passion generates passion, especially when it's authentic. Right. We've seen and heard that today. And I just want to personally say thank you so much for spending the time with us. I took some notes. I learned quite a bit, and great hour.
Well, it's my pleasure, and I greatly appreciate you giving me this time. You guys are key opinion leaders yourself, incredibly talented individuals, and it really touched me that you asked me to be part of that, and I wanted to thank you for that. And I wish you best of success with your new initiative. You're already incredibly successful in what you do already, and I think that it's important for everybody to know what you do besides this journal, because you bring a tremendous value to the dental community, and I greatly appreciate that.
Thanks again, Lou, and thanks everybody else for listening to Dental Insiders.